Okay, good news. Thank you. Welcome, everybody, to tonight's call. My name's Nigel Booth. I'm going to be taking you through a brief overview tonight about Zinzino. Whoever invited you on the call, if you're a guest tonight, has a very distinct reason for wanting to do that. It's to share what's happening with Zinzino with you, with a view to potentially partnering with you because of what Zinzino is managing to do, which is really create a whole new way of industry, of people, of looking at the way they actually lead their lives, and which is primarily being focused, I suspect, in the last few months by the coronavirus, and lots of people questioning their own health, the way they do lead their lives. And the lockdowns made a lot of people, I suspect, reflect on that. So what I'm going to share with you over the next half an hour or so is a bit about Zinzino itself, a bit about the business opportunity, something about the product, and a bit about the way we get rewarded. None of this is going to be so comprehensive that you'll go away with the full picture, but the person who invited you is keen that you understand what's available. And what we ask you to do is to view what we're showing you really with an open mind, with a view to seeing whether there's anything in it for you. Because essentially this is about you. It is about Zinzino, yes. It's about us as partners with Zinzino, yes. It's about the person who invited you on, yes. But principally it's about you and whether you see something, maybe something resonates with you in relation to what, where you are in your life right now, the kind of things that you're thinking about, and how you might deliver on the dreams and aspirations you have for yourself and your family, your loved ones. Because certainly in my own experience, what I've noticed many times in sharing this with people is that essentially they're not entirely happy with where they are, but they can't actually see the change that they'd like to have being delivered by what they're doing. And so change, of course, only comes by making a decision to do that. And this potentially offers people a way of building something alongside what they do to pay the bills, but actually delivering on the dreams and aspirations further down the line. And just to put that into context, when Sue and I first got into networking many years ago, actually it wasn't down to me at all. I take no credit for that. Sue and I had bought a money pit of a house. We went into a huge recession. Those of you who are old enough to remember, we had the exchange rate mechanism which pegged the pound to the Deutschmark, and effectively we ended up with 15% interest rates. Now, for those of us who had a big mortgage at the time, that was crippling. Eventually we pulled out of it, but we had a huge recession at that point, and we just bought this house. And in fact, we went into massive negative equity over it, and we needed some money to support our mortgage and actually rebuild the place. And Sue lit upon a networking opportunity, and over the next couple of years, 2-3 years, I watched her part-time income overtake my full-time income. And I had my own business. I was doing quite well, but we didn't have enough coming in because of the way that the recession was working. So she decided to create some additional income. And as a consequence of that, 3 and a bit years in, she and I had a very long heart-to-heart discussion about whether I should join her business. And I'm very happy to say that's exactly what happened. And really, we haven't looked back. We've been in networking ever since, because it's totally transformed our lives. Now, at the time I looked at networking concept originally, I have to say I was a little bit dismissive about it. I didn't understand it. I couldn't see how it could deliver. But the more I actually studied it, once Sue began to create this income, I mean, substantial income on a part-time basis, I began to realize that actually this was something that leveraged time, personal time, because essentially I was working 60 to 80 hours a week, sometimes more. And of course, when business was good, I was doing very well. And when business wasn't so good, I was paying the staff and not really taking very much myself. So as you begin to understand what the benefits of networking really genuinely are, and you align yourself with a business like Zinzino, which is breaking the mold of what's come before, then this business can really deliver on the change that perhaps you desire. So what I'd ask you to do is to look at what we offer. Zinzino is succeeding anyway, actually regardless of what you decide. But what I'd encourage you to do is to get a proper understanding of this. And the person who invited you on tonight has done so with a view to potentially partnering with you, but first of all, wanting you to get a level of understanding that takes you to a place where you can say, you know what, I need to know a bit more. And that's the time to get your questions answered. Now, your partner, your potential partner, is part of an organization which will be able to satisfy the questions you have, so that you make a decision that's right for you, whether you decide to become involved or not. But you'll base that decision on real information, solid information, and a proper understanding of what's on offer. So just please look at what we're sharing with you with an open mind tonight. And I'm sure ultimately you'll make decisions that are right for you. So let me cover a little bit first about Zinzino itself. Bear with me. And just talk a little bit about the background of the company, because actually for me, it's actually quite important to understand that the business itself is solid. And Zinzino is actually a publicly listed company. Now, for those of you who understand what that means, I don't really need to expand on it too much, but essentially they're a quoted company, which means they're an open book financially. You can see the track record of the company on its published results for the last 10 years since it originally floated on the market. It's a NASDAQ listed company, and you will see from those figures that the company's grown year on year on year on year at around an average of 34%. And that is substantial. And the market in which we trade, actually, I should mention, it's all been driven out of Scandinavia originally, because the company's in Norway and Sweden, and it's gradually, as it's grown and become more solid, more organized, and more ambitious, and had the wealth to do it, has gradually expanded out throughout Europe and is into North America and Australia, shortly to be opening in China and India and a number of other Far Eastern countries. So it's a very solid, very well controlled, very well run business from the business perspective. It's profitable, debt free, cash rich. It's capable, very, very capable of dealing with the expansion plans it actually has. So double digit growth, strong financial foundation. And I just mentioned that we're also members of the Direct Selling Association, which is an umbrella body that essentially sets best practice for our entire profession. So where we are in terms of our market, there's around about 1 billion people in the countries we currently trade in. Add China and India, there's another 2.7 billion on top. So we're more than tripling, or almost tripling the market potential for us. 95% of those people are going to be out of balance. You'll understand what that means in a bit more detail in a moment. And this is the background against which Zinzino has begun to create its products. We know more about health, nutrition, the way the body works, than we've ever known before. And yet actually, when you look at the incidence of chronic disease, it's now 1 in 2 people in the UK have a chronic disease. What does that mean? People are being treated for it. It's asthma, it's diabetes, it's heart disease, it's arthritis, it's numbers of different long-term chronic diseases that are in treatment in some way or another. And you can track that. It's growing all the time. So why is that when we know more than we've ever known before? And actually the source of good food is more available than ever before, although that might be debated to some extent. But we won't get into that argument too much right now. So what's driving the fact that we're not actually very, very well? You know, people aren't well. Well, Zinzino's pioneered the concept of test-based nutrition effectively, and starting with the fundamental in many ways. I guess we could pile in a few, but if you look at clean water, clean air, you know, a good lifestyle, good food, balanced diet, what does that mean? Well, depends who you talk to. If you talk to your doctor, you won't get much of an answer. Sorry, I'm not being particularly critical of doctors, but they're not trained in nutrition generally. But one of the keys that everyone understands is the need for essential fats. What's an essential fat? Quite simply, you've got to get it in your diet. And essential fats, the one that's trotted out, everybody is probably aware of, is omega-3. And the reason why omega-3 is trotted out is because, quite simply, no one gets enough. And that's already well understood. And many people supplement. But even those who do aren't actually in balance. Now, what does that mean, a balance? Well, 95% of people are actually in some form of danger. And that's because we're eating too much omega-6. It's pretty much in everything, you know, processed. You can't eat a burger without getting omega-6 in it. You don't eat meat without getting omega-6 in it. You don't All the processed foods that you can imagine have omega-6. We're saturated with it. We just don't eat enough omega-3. Oily fish, avocados, seeds and nuts, and so on. We don't have enough of the balance. So we're effectively suffering from an imbalance. And if you think of it like this, the omega-6 and omega-3 should be balanced. They're on either side of the seesaw, if you like. And right now, what's happening is we've got way too much omega-6. And so the balance is incorrect. We have to increase the amount of omega-3 or alternatively reduce the amount of omega-6. Well, modern lifestyles and habits simply don't mean that happens. So the best way is to raise the levels of omega-3, which is why so many people buy a fish supplement, fish oil supplement. But actually they don't work so well, and I'll explain why in a moment. Part of the reason for it is there are inadequate polyphenols in the diet. What do? They help to protect the omega-3 that allows it to be bioavailable and sustained in the system long enough to actually get into the places it needs to. And we also consume low levels of vitamin D3. We don't get enough vitamin D, certainly not in the northern hemisphere, but this far north anyway. Certainly not during the winter months, we don't. So are you in the danger zone? Well, here's a key question. We know 95% of people are. 3 to 1 or better is where you genuinely want to be. And the average from testing shows that 7 to 1 is the ratio of people who are taking some form of fish oil supplement. Now, I've been one of those people for many, many years, probably 30 years. And when Sue and I were asked by our sponsor, just around about a year ago, whether we took a supplement, we both, of course, answered yes, because we do. And he said, well, how do you know it works? That's actually a really interesting question, because we don't, because we never surmised that it was possible to find out, really. And it's not one of those tests that you get offered when you go to see a doctor. So we didn't know. So we didn't know whether we were in balance or not. So we took a test, and I'll show you some results in a moment. Excuse me. But 15 to 1 is the average for people in Europe. Now, ratios are different around the world. It's 25 to 1 in America. It's worse in other parts of the world, like India. It varies everywhere, but what seems to be consistent, very consistent, is we're all out of balance. 95% of people are out of balance. Very few are actually in the right ratio without some form of supplementation. So my own personal result was 14.4 to 1, and I was taking an omega-3 supplement, fish oil supplement. Now, when you think about that, that's actually quite galling, because I don't know how much money I'd spent over many years buying a fish oil supplement, but it certainly wasn't doing the job it should have been. And actually, in truth, I was at a level of ignorance where I really didn't understand why it was going to do any good anyway, and what it was really genuinely supposed to achieve. And of course, there's no measurability in what I was taking. I had no guidance about whether I was taking the right amounts or not. And Zinzino has pioneered that process of saying, look, we can test you. This is the important thing. Test validate whether you require the product. By testing, we can also show what happens when you take the Zinzino product, and it brings you back into balance. And when you talk to people who have been on the product for some time, funny things happen. Problems that they've had start to disappear. Now, you could say that's coincidence. I'm not making a medical claim, but I can very clearly state that a couple of things from my personal experience have been that the arthritis I had in my right knee has gone, stopped, don't get it anymore. And I used to get tendonitis in both my Achilles regularly. Some days quite difficult to start walking. And that's gone as well. So coincidentally, well, I mean, in coincidence with when I started taking the product, these things have changed for me. So 15 to 1 is pretty much where I was, despite the fact I was taking a supplement. So how do we know that the 95% of people are there? Well, because I checked the site about half an hour ago, the zinzinotest.com site, as of today, the company Vitas Analytical Services, which is independent of Zinzino, have actually carried out 514,145 tests on Zinzino's behalf. anonymously on Zinzino's behalf. The tests are independent. They are the only information that VITAS has is a barcode, effectively, which relates to your results, which you can see based on when the analysis has actually been done. So this isn't Zinzino testing and essentially proving its own thesis. This is independent testing that's done by a world-class laboratory that satisfies academic institutes like Oxford University, Harvard and Yale and so on, where accuracy is absolutely fundamental. So before tests, 5% of people in Europe are 3-to-1 or better. That's a pretty decent bet that you're out. 20%, or there are those about of a 7-to-1 ratio. 75%, and I have to say I'm, you know, I was in that, who are 15-to-1, and 95% of people who do start to take the Zinzino balance oil product come back near enough to 3-to-1 after 120 days. Why 120 days? Well, it's a blood spot test, and your blood changes every 120 days. So we can do a before and after measurement based on the analysis of your blood at the point at which you begin to take the product, and then 120 days later, because that's a total cycle. And that gives a very strong indicator of the cellular balance of your omega-3 and 6 right through your whole body. And you've got to remember, you're made up of trillions of cells. So every single one of them is impacted. Now, if every single one of your cells is impacted, effectively your whole, you as an organism are completely impacted by that. It's absolutely everywhere throughout your body, and it's totally essential. That's why it's an essential fat. So here is someone who's quite close to me, because I'm married to her. And she, as you can see from this, had a pretty poor score. The basic number that you need to look at is the third line down, where it says omega-6, AA, omega-3, EPA balance, where you can see it says 14.4-to-1. Now that's not the only analysis that takes place, and I'm not going to go into the other areas because this line is the key indicator. But you can see there's a lot of red on there, and of course we all know the traffic light system: red, orange, green. You know, red's stop, not particularly great in this context, and green's good. All right, so that's the basis of it. So if we look at what happened, that's the 28th of May last year. And then on the 23rd of August, which is a little early because it's only 87 days, not 120. See, Sue's in personality terms is someone who can't wait. You know, she's got no patience. She has to find things out. So she took a test early. And look at what's happening. Hello, some of the red's gone yellow. And we're still at the EPA protection level is a bit iffy, but look at what's happened to the omega-3, 6. It's coming very close. It's gone to 4.4. And now, here we are on the 28th of October, and she was deeply, deeply, deeply disappointed by this one because she's still not in balance. It's only 3.6-to-1, but the trend is going in the right direction. But now we're all yellow apart from that one green, and then ho, 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 here we go, 27th of April this year, pretty much a year, from not quite a year, 11 months. Lots of green, 2 yellow, and she hasn't taken another test yet. I'm fairly sure that's going to happen before very long. But you can see now she's 2.4-to-1, and I know she's had significant impacts because she had a heart attack on our grandson's birthday, 2017, December 2017, and one of the principal drivers for getting onto Zinzino products was because having looked at the research, talked at length with Dr. Paul Clayton, realized that actually what the right levels of omega-3s could do is help her to come off the drug regime that she'd been put on after she'd gone out of hospital. And under guidance and with support and not a little testing as well, she managed to do that after, I think, 3 to 4 months of beginning on the balance oil itself. So this makes big changes. Now that's a personal choice she's made. I wouldn't, and she wouldn't, I know, encourage anyone to do that without guidance and a personal motivation and checking them to make sure that the markers were right But that was one of the primary motivators for her was to be able to achieve that. And this is what's beginning to happen. As you will see with Zinzino products, they all work. So what's different? What makes Zinzino balance oil particularly effective? Well, we can say pretty much without too much contradiction that straight out, no matter how pure, fish oil supplements don't work to address the omega-3/6 balance. Why? Because the oil itself does not reach the parts of your body that can make use of it. In other words, it gets denatured very quickly through your system. So it doesn't survive long enough in your system to actually get utilized. And the reason for that is because very few, I don't know of any actually personally, that are protected by polyphenols. These are the antioxidants that are and the protective agent, which in Zinzino's case is created from early harvested olives, because they're very rich in polyphenols and they've got a very unique combination. Can't be very unique, it is unique. It's a unique combination of the way this is put together in order to protect the omega-3 into the body for much, much longer. One other thing is that actually, in fish oil terms, the fish don't create the essential fat, the omega-3. They actually get it from algae. So we're at the top of the food chain, and the fish are slightly in between. And they're easier to catch than to create harvests from algae. But now there are ways of farming algae that Zinzino is using. So we also have a vegan product. So we've got vegan EFA, omega-3 EFA, available to really help vegan people, because what we've noticed, and certainly in the people we've shared this with who have actually gone tested as vegans, they're all way worse than the rest of us who still eat meat. You can see also that we're friend of the sea, GMO-free, halal, and kosher and informed choice. Actually, that logo is slightly wrong, but the same process is involved, which means the product's batch tested to ensure that it's clean. So here we are with a product which is really, really special. What does it do? Well, I've mentioned a few things that I've had a personal impact on, but we know that it does all these things. And this is not us making independent, wild claims here of things that are not substantiated, because all of this is based on research. Helps to normalize brain function, heart function, immune system function. And with the COVID-19 issues, the immune system has come to the fore. Everyone's recognizing they've got to do things to support the immune system. And Zinzino has some solutions for that as well. So just to expand on that a little bit, the first three, as you see on the left, that I've already mentioned, but this knocks on into other kinds of areas of the body. Remember what I said right at the beginning. This is that every single cell is impacted by having the right omega-3, omega-6 balance. Equally, it's impacted by being out of balance. And what we know is being out of balance tends to produce chronic inflammation. And that's what's addressed by omega-3, getting the omega-3 right. So here we are with some information really about the advisory board, the people driving the science, if you like, the top of which is Dr. Paul Clayton. And Paul is is really the driver in terms of the way these products are formulated based on his study of food and the pharmacological effects of food, because essentially we are what we eat. Actually, we are what we absorb, and we are what we have a predominance of. So if we've got too much omega-6 in our diet, which everybody pretty much has, because we all live on the go, we're buying processed foods, convenience foods, and we just don't get the right balance of nutrients, I think most people would accept that. Paul's a champion of going back to the old methods of using food to give you the right nutrition. And so they're pioneering the things that are missing out of the diet in order to be able to bring back that balance. Dr. Angela Rizzo, professor of biochemistry at the University of Milan, done huge amounts of research on the impacts of omega-3 in children and those with ADHD, autism as well, and author of many papers on this. And I can talk again from personal experience, how both our grandchildren are on the Balance All product, and our grandson was borderline ADHD, absolutely too much sugar, and he'd go into, well, he'd be like a chimp on acid, and quite difficult to control. And now he's pretty much transformed, I have to say. He's an absolutely delightful boy. And Ola Eid was one of the original founders of the formulations of the product and the manufacturer. Zinzino was so impressed by the company that was producing these products originally, it bought the company and transformed itself from originally a coffee company into what it is now, which is really a kind of, it's a life sciences company more than anything else. It's pioneering this process, this idea, this concept of test-based nutrition, you know, rather than guess-based nutrition, which is pretty much what we were doing, you know, before we started to witness what was going on here. So 4 product areas I should talk about that Zinzino currently has. It's a very small product line, actually, but extremely well worked out, very effective, synergistically working together in order to produce outcomes that I can personally attest to. Balance Oil, the driving product at the top of the circle here, that's the core of getting that balance right, because actually, you know, that's one of the fundamentals that needs to be right in order to get everything else right. And then next down, we've got immune system moving clockwise around the circle, the next quadrant being immune supplements, which have been particularly necessary and effective during this coronavirus issue, because of course it's not so much the virus that's killed people, it's the immune system overdrive, because it's not functioning correctly, because it's not got the right chemistry in order to be able to function correctly. And then weight control product to help with gut health, because combined with the weight control is the xenobiotic product, which actually feeds the gut to get the bacteria, the biome, back into balance again. Balance, balance, balance. You'll find that theme right through everything Zinzino does. And when that happens, transformations happen, because if your gut's out of balance, everything's out of balance. There's science to back that up. I won't go into too much detail about that right now, but essentially your gut's very often referred to as your second brain, because actually the two things are directly linked, and what's happening in your gut and the chemistry in your gut is automatically affecting what's going on in your head. And what might seem a little odd or out of place is skincare, but actually, you know, it's not, it really isn't, because your skin's the largest organ in the body, and it's made up of millions of cells, trillions of cells. And every one of those has omega-3 in it, of course, and should have. And the way that the cell works, the balance works at the cellular level is, if you've got too much omega-6, the cells are brittle and hard, and they're not very permeable. That means that nutrients don't get in, and the bad stuff, you know, the rubbish doesn't get out very effectively. And what happens when you have the right balance with omega-3 is they're more malleable, they're softer, they're permeable, so you get much greater elasticity. And of course that can work externally, and using the skin serum product helps to produce that skin permeability and elasticity that, you know, women of a certain age are particularly keen on. And I'm married to one of those, by the way, and she tells me quite frequently I should be using them as well. And I don't generally, because I'm not in the habit of doing so. But it is a really, really good product. Anyway, I should talk a little bit about now the business side of this, because the product, you can tell I'm excited by that, and the product line and the concept to test, because I can see the outcomes that people experience as a consequence of using the product. It brings better life to people. It's as simple as that. And it really genuinely has a place. And Zinzino's created a business model that works for people like you and me to begin the process of building a part-time business, potentially, alongside a full-time opportunity, sharing it on a networking basis with probably the lowest and least risk business opportunity that there is. You buy a McDonald's franchise, you're going to spend upwards of £1 million in the UK. They don't guarantee you to make a profit. They guarantee the system they give you and the likely outcome of where you're placed. But if you're not working at it and you're doing the job, then you still run the risk of going broke. And in fact, they do. McDonald's franchises do go broke. But that's not why people buy into them. They buy them because the model is known to work. And this model works. But it's only an opportunity if you grasp it and start to build on it in terms of the work and the effort and impact that you make on your own effort. But it is a very low cost opportunity, as you can see here. This is a kit, the Ultimate Partner Kit. It's refundable after 12 months. I don't know of any other networking business that this type that makes an offer like this, where essentially they're saying, look, whatever kit you buy, this kit you buy in at as a business person, you spend £869 on it, and we'll give you your money back in month 13, as long as you found 25 customers who are on subscription in that period of time. And that's what they're doing at the end of the period. 25 customers? Well, I can tell you now, that's not actually all that difficult to do. It might seem like a lot of people. It's actually not really, especially when you share it with friends and family and those you know and love, because actually they're almost all going to be out of balance. 95% of them are anyway. And if they care about their health, they're likely to take notice of it. So it's not that difficult to find. And the person who invited you on tonight is going to help you do that. And so is the team that you're part of, because this is a collective effort as much as anything else. So this is the best product line. This is the best part of the product line to buy, the best partner kit to actually take on board, because you get that complete money back guarantee after the 12-month period. The person who invited you on will give you more detail about the other options, but this is the one as a business person I would recommend you strongly consider. So how does this actually work? What do you do? What do you have to do here? Well, this is a network. Zinzino does not sell its products through traditional distribution methods. We're not selling through shops. We're just, it's not that model. This is all about personal referral. Partly because the concept itself needs a bit of explanation. People, need to understand what goes on. So it's not an off-the-shelf thing. We're not selling omega-3 here, like that you would buy in a health food store. We're actually selling something that's different to omega-3. We're selling balance and a redressing of the issues that imbalance you have actually causes. So the people need to understand that. We help you through those contacts to get the customers and share the business. We share the opportunity and the product with people in equal measure, because that's how this organizationally grows around the world. Now, I have to make a comment about that. This is non-test. This has already happened. Zinzino is 15 years old. The growth that's happening is a consequence of this business method. So there's no testing here. The only test here is for you as someone looking at the opportunity is to say, well, could I do this? Well, the answer is yes, of course you could. But the real question actually is, do you choose to do this? If you're willing to share your contacts with the partner who's invited you to come on, and you do it in the right way, and let me stress that, the right way, is you don't go barreling in there like a bull in a china shop. This is doing it in the right kind of way to get the message over in the correct way, using the system like you do when like the guys who've got a McDonald's franchise do. They don't sell pizzas, they sell burgers. That's what you expect when you go through that. We have a sausage machine, pizza maker, we have a burger maker, whatever you like, the analogy you like to use, we have a system that delivers to help you get the 25 customers we're talking about. So we're talking to customers and to share the business opportunity with them. In turn, we begin to duplicate that activity by helping those people who choose to join to get started. And then we do the same thing again with referral business. It's round, and that's all we do. That's all we do. We just share this with other people in a way which exposes our opportunity and our product to them. So Zinzino's model is very much along the lines of product, actually, because this is a subscription-based program. Unlike a lot of other networks, this is not about finding partners in partners, because a lot of companies out there they try to sell packages to everybody. There's no real retail activity going on. One of Zinzino's key drivers is saying, find your 25 customers. We do that within the first 12 months. And the model is geared towards that, as I'll explain. One of the key parts of that is Z for free, the Zinzino for free. You find 4 customers to buy the same subscription level you're at, and you get your product free. Sue and I haven't paid for our balance oil since the first month we became involved. So you as a partner get your product free as long as you found 4 customers to do the same thing. That can be done within your first couple of weeks. First week, if you go out and share it in the right way, do so in partnership with your partner, person who's sponsoring you. Pardon me. You need to be on auto ship, the auto order for your product. We're referring for friends. We're producing a volume of at least 4 times your own order. That's why I said earlier about the same level that you're buying at. And of course, you can qualify for free shipping after a year, as long as you use the Zinzino on-phone app. Now, I wasn't very disciplined with this, and I kept forgetting to press the button. So I'm behind Sue, where she's getting free shipping on the product, because she's done her 365, and I haven't quite got that far yet. Additionally, for partners, there is what we call the GoCore app, which is all about personal development, helping you to change the way you're thinking in order to embrace new ideas and ways of working and overcome your own personal perceived limitations in terms of being able to share with others. And that I've never known a networking company do that on a regular basis, giving access to world-class speakers literally from your smartphone. So let's talk a little bit more about personal customers and just a bit of detail. Each progression within the way the compensation plan works carries a title to it. And the reason for that is it's just an expression of the achievement that you've made. And it's if you like, kickstarts in another bonus level. And this is actually quite important to understand. And the first 60 days are really important if you're coming on board as a partner. And you'll again talk to the person who invited you to come on about how that actually works. Because what you don't want to do is to become a partner and not really know what to do next. So you want to kickstart yourself into a program that begins that 60 days ticking. So bronze, 4 customers, 10% cash bonus, it's £52 back. You can do that in the first few days. And of course, it qualifies you for your product for free. And by doing this within the first 30 days, you achieve a smart bronze bonus, £90. So there's some bonus money already for that. Got your first 4 customers as well. So we're on our way towards the 25. Then we're going to grind out. We're going to find more customers. We're going to look for another 10 customers, and to do that within our first 60 days. This is quite important. In fact, it's very important, not only for the cash bonus, but it's most important for what's called ECB, which is enrollment credit bonus. And that needs to be done in that 60 days, because if you miss the 60 days, you don't get the enrollment credit bonus then until you hit the 25 customers. So you make a lot more work for yourself. And actually, the enrollment credit bonus doubles the bonuses you get. So it's well worth doing it. Now, why am I emphasizing this? Well, what I'm saying is be organized. As long as you and your partner, the person who sponsored you, the partner who sponsored you, are working together in your first few days to begin this process, kickstart this process, you set the scene for what's going to happen further down the line. This is a, do it with commitment process. So X team, then to A team. You will notice now that the cash bonus doubles. And another bonus kicks in called residual credit bonus, which is all about the residual volume that you're creating. And that's actually quite important. Now you're getting an £85 a month, effectively residual income for having created the 25 customers. Most important though is the cash bonus. It's doubling again. So why is the company saying to you, look, don't sit on your laurels here. You joining is one thing, but let's get some action going, because it reinforces why you do it. It reinforces the fact it works. And of course, it kickstarts the process of building the team as well. And of course, the best way to do that is duplicate the Zinzino for free. So we're helping others to get their own product free by finding 4 customers of their own. And you can, in fact, have a customer who finds 4 customers of theirs, although they're not a partner, they're a customer, and that customer having found 4, they get their product free. So it's a benefit to the customers as well. Just finishing off on personal customers, pro team, 25% cash bonus, gone up again. Top team, 30% cash bonus, 100 customers. pause for a moment, because there is a £9,000 one-time bonus for achieving that. Think about that. You know, this is Zinzino saying, find customers, because without you, we wouldn't have found these 100 customers. We're prepared to reward you big time for that. And that's why they're saying this. They're saying, you know, our business model is built on customers. It's not just on partners. It's all about the customer and the consumption of the product. Top Team 200, 30%, same cash bonus now. It's gone up to 30%. There's the direct to trip plus the cash bonus, of course, of 4,000. Direct to trip's a one-time trip every year that is all about bonding with others who have similar sorts of rank and are really making things happen and getting lots of training and exposure to ideas and developments and so on as a consequence of what you achieve. Top Team 1,000, now you're up to some big numbers. It's around about 1,800 a month in residual income. You're picking up the cash bonus. As you can see, it's fairly substantial. And a Z phone bonus of £180 as well. And that's, of course, based on the current exchange rates, which will vary, by the way, you know, at some point or another, depending on what happens to the pound in the longer run. So now let's come to partners for a second, which is why the person who invited you on is really asking you to consider being a partner with them and being a team customer. We talk about 25 all the way through. So this is built upon the idea of 25 customers having been created. And that keeps the model simple, and it makes it easy to duplicate. So two numbers to think about, 25 and 4, and you'll see why in a second. Here we are with you. You've achieved a smart bronze level. That's £90. You've got your 25 customers. You've also gone X-Team Express. What I mentioned earlier, that's the one you need to do within your 60 days. Those two together giving you bonuses again. Now we're looking for 4 partners. So 4 customers gives you your product free. 4 partners opens up the whole of the compensation plan to you completely. So we're looking at A, B, C, and D. So 4 other people. And the assumption is that they're doing the same as you. Excuse me. So they've got 25 customers each. So now they've got 100 customers in addition to your 25. That takes you to the silver position with 180 income. The bottom line, by the way, is the income level that you're creating on a month-by-month basis. So now that takes you, as long as you're doing that within the 30 days, that takes you to fast silver. So again, there's an incentive to make this work for you, because you're now getting you're getting a bonus based on the progression at which you're making things happen. Makes this happen. So here's that number 4 again. So now we're taking A, B, C, and D, and we're asking them to do the same. So they're finding 4 of their own. That makes a total of 16 people, which would be 4 silvers because they've duplicated the same as you. They're 25 each, so that's 500 customers. Takes you to the rank of what we call executive. Income's around about £810 on a month-by-month basis. And as you will see, that then takes you fast up to over to 450 bottom left. And now we're looking to create the same again. So we're looking to create 4 executives. And that with their 25, so now we're at 2,100, and that takes you to the diamond level. This is the point at which a lot of people make a decision about whether they go full-time or not. Many choose not to. That's fine. It's a pretty sensible amount of additional income on what could well be a part-time basis. And it doesn't matter what time frame you do this over. You know, people say to me, well, how quickly can you do it? Well, you know, it's been done in under 3 months in the UK already. But some have been in over a year since we first started to really launch, and they haven't reached that level yet. But that doesn't mean they won't, and it doesn't mean they can't, and it doesn't mean there isn't a place for the product and the effort that they're putting in based on the other things they're doing. It just means that you're moving at your own pace. And some of us have chosen to put in perhaps a bit more effort than others, a bit more time than others, and of course, ultimately, this is all about the way your time is used. And those 4 diamonds, we pick it up another level, 1 more, 25 customers each, 8,500. A crown is very often a point at which people start to take a very serious look at what we're doing here, because this is possible. We've only got 1 crown in the UK currently, and that's Dave Ives. And that's not to say there are going to be more crowns before the end of this year. I can pretty much guarantee that. And that's because the product, we're getting more customers all the time. We know there's a demand for the product. The product works because it's test-based. There's a trend towards this greater responsibility for personal health and the choices that people are making in order to improve that. So this is the basis of the business model. There are many ranks beyond this to the right-hand side. As you can imagine, you're just picking up on the same numbers, 25 and 4, and the money increases rapidly. So snapshot, overview, just real food for thought about what the possibilities are for you. And so what's next? Well, two very simple things. Become a customer, because I would bet, and I'm not a betting man, 95% of people are out of balance. That's a 1 in 20 chance I'm wrong. So you've got 19 people before you hit one who've got it in balance. You're probably out of balance, significantly enough to be at risk of chronic problems. So you should test and you should be on the product. And I'm being prescriptive about that. You should be on the product, regardless of whether you become a partner or not. The second option, of course, is to become a partner. And you can do that in conjunction with the person who invited you. Their wish is to work with you, would like to work with you, to work together to create a network of customers together and potentially transform your life from where it is right now to whatever it is you'd like to have. You can see the numbers are available, and there are already people making way beyond the crown position that we just illustrated. So that's pretty much our presentation tonight. I hope it's been helpful. I wish you all the best in whatever you choose to do, and I'm sure that whatever that is, you will choose in the right way for you as a person. But the person who invited you, what they prefer you to give them is an honest answer about whether you'd like to be a customer or whether you'd like to become a partner. For your time and attention, thanks very much for that tonight. I hope this has been helpful. Good night all.